Charles Lindbergh and His Flight Across the Atlantic by Catherine Langlis. Charles Lindbergh, from the time he was young, always had an interest in aviation. He was also quite a daredevil. A few of his first jobs included being a wing walker and a parachute jumper. In the year 1926, he became the first airmail pilot to fly between Chicago, Illinois and St. Louis, Missouri. Shown are examples of people wing walking and parachute jumping. While looking for new challenges, Charles found out about the Orteig Prize. This was a prize offered by a man named Raymond Orteig, who was also very interested in the world of aviation. The prize was $25,000 to anyone who could fly non-stop across the Atlantic from New York City to Paris. There were many attempts to win the prize, but all failed and most ended in the deaths of the attempters. Shown are pictures of Raymond Orteig and a graph of the distance between New York City and Paris. On May 20th, 1927, at 7:52 in the morning, Charles Lindbergh took off from New York City in his plane, the Spirit of St. Louis, and headed for Paris. Because he wanted to save as much fuel as possible, Charles only took with him what he absolutely thought he needed. This didn't even include a parachute or even a radio. Shown are pictures of Charles with his plane, the Spirit of St. Louis, and a diagram of the inside of the Spirit of St. Louis. Charles arrived in Paris on May 21st, 1927 at 10:22 p.m. French time, 33.5 hours after his takeoff from New York. That day, he became the first person to fly non-stop from New York City to Paris. He flew over 3,600 miles, won the $25,000 Orteig Prize, and became an international hero all overnight. Shown is the cover of the New York Times from 1927, a copy of the check for $25,000, and a picture of Charles Lindbergh with Raymond Orteig himself. Because of his bravery and service to his country, Charles was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the Flying Cross, and many high honors from many additional countries. He also went on a tour of the U.S. and a few Latin countries as an ambassador to the U.S. When he was in Mexico, he met Anne Marrow, whom he later married in May of 1927. Shown are pictures of the Congressional Medal of Honor, the Flying Cross, and Charles with his wife, Anne Marrow. Sadly, on March 1st, 1932, their son, Charles Jr., was kidnapped from their New Jersey home and was being held for $50,000 ransom. Over the course of 2 months, ransom notes were continually sent to the Lindberghs and people close to them regarding the child. The $50,000 was paid, but the baby was not returned. Instead, on May 12, 1932, over 2 months after the first note was received and the child was kidnapped, the child was found dead near a highway in New Jersey. After examination, it showed that the child had already been dead for 2 months. Shown is the copy of the first ransom note and a copy of an informational poster about the child. Over the course of the rest of his life, Charles had 5 more children and wrote many books, including The Autobiography of Values and The Spirit of St. Louis, which he won the Pulitzer Prize for. Shown are pictures of his wife and his children, and book covers of The Spirit of St. Louis and The Autobiography of Values. Also, along with Dr. Alexis Carrel, Charles went on to design an artificial heart. This is a pump used to keep organs alive when outside of the body. This paved the way for surgeons to be able to do successful organ transplants and open heart surgeries. Shown is the cover of Time magazine with Charles Lindbergh and Dr. Alexis Carrel with their artificial heart. Also shown is a sketch that Charles made of their artificial heart. Charles Lindbergh was a man who changed history by paving the paths for aviation, literature, and even medical science. But most of all, he will go down in history as the man who faced the odds and made the flight that changed the world. The end. Thank you for watching.